Your Excel file is pulling numbers from another workbook, and then it just stops. The values don't change, the refresh does nothing, and you're left wondering if the link is broken or if Excel is ignoring you. Most of the time, the link is fine. It's the update rules around external links that are blocking the refresh. And the tricky part is that Excel can block updates silently, depending on settings, trust, file paths, and even calculation mode. In the next few minutes, you'll get a clean checklist you can run every time this happens. We'll start with the fastest confirmation steps, then move into the most common root causes. We'll also cover the looks updated but isn't cases, like cached values and manual calculation. By the end, you'll know exactly where to look, what to change, and how to prevent it from happening again. No guesswork, just a reliable process you can repeat. Next step. Before changing anything, confirm what kind of link you're dealing with. Excel has several external connection types, and they behave differently. The classic one is a formula link, like a cell referencing another workbook. Another is a query or connection, like Power Query, a web connection, or an ODBC source. Then there are links inside named ranges, charts, or pivot tables that still point outside. The fix depends on the type. So first, identify the source. If the problem is formulas, you'll focus on edit links, calculation, and file access. If it's a query, you'll focus on connection properties and refresh rules. If it's a pivot table, you'll focus on refresh and cache settings. This one step prevents wasted time. Once you know the link type, you can troubleshoot in the right lane and get a result quickly. Next step. Now do the fastest health check. Can Excel even reach the source workbook? External links won't update if the source file is moved, renamed, blocked, or opened in a way Excel can't read. Start by locating the source file path and opening that source workbook directly. Confirm the data you expect is actually saved in it. Then close it and reopen it, just to ensure you're not looking at an unsaved version. Next, check permissions. If the file is on a network share, a synced folder, or a restricted location, Excel may open it read-only or fail to read it in the background. Also, watch out for 2 copies of the same file in different folders. Excel might be linking to the old one. This step sounds basic, but it's the #1 real-world cause of link not updating. Next step. If the source file is reachable, the next stop is Excel's Link Manager. Go to the place where Excel lists external workbook links and check 2 things: the exact source path and the update status. If the path points to an old folder, fix it by changing the source. If the status shows unknown or the values look stuck, force an update. If you get a prompt about updating links when opening the file, pay attention to what you clicked. Many people accidentally choose Don't Update once, and Excel remembers that choice for that workbook. Also, if the file is set to not display the prompt, you might not realize updates are disabled. The goal here is simple. Ensure Excel is pointing to the correct file and that updates are allowed at open and on demand. Next step. A huge silent blocker is calculation mode. If your workbook is set to manual calculation, external link values can appear frozen even when the link is fine. This happens a lot when you've worked with large models, because manual mode improves performance. The catch is that Excel can keep manual mode across workbooks, depending on how the file was saved and your settings. So check calculation mode and switch to automatic when you need live updates. Then do a full recalculation, not just a normal one. A normal recalc might not rebuild all dependencies. A full rebuild forces Excel to reevaluate links, named ranges, and dependent formulas. If the numbers suddenly jump to the correct values after that, you found the issue. You can still use manual mode later, but you'll want a deliberate refresh routine. Next step. Next, check whether Excel is updating the link values, but you're seeing old cached results. Excel stores the last known values from external workbooks. That's helpful when the source is closed, but it can confuse troubleshooting. If the source workbook changed, but Excel is still showing the last saved snapshot, it feels like the link is broken. One common cause is that the source workbook was updated, but not saved. Another is that the source workbook is being generated by another process, and the new file isn't actually the one your link points to. To test this, open the source workbook and confirm the specific cells your link references. Save it, close it, then update links again. If the values now change, you are fighting the cache and save state, not the link itself. Next step. Security and trust settings can also block external updates. Excel is cautious with content that comes from outside the current file, especially when files come from email attachments, downloads, or network locations. If the workbook is in a location Excel considers risky, it may open in protected view or disable external content. In that state, links will update even if you click refresh. The fix is to move the files to a trusted location or explicitly mark the location as trusted in Excel's Trust Center. Also pay attention to the Enable Content prompts. If you dismiss them, Excel may keep external content disabled for that session. The key idea is, if Excel thinks the file is unsafe, it will prioritize safety over updating your numbers. Next step. Let's talk about paths, because external links are picky. If your links use absolute paths, moving a folder breaks updates. If they use mapped network drives, another user may not have the same drive letter. If they use cloud-synced paths, the local path can differ between machines. A reliable approach is to standardize where source files live and keep the folder structure stable. If you're working in a team, prefer UNC paths on networks rather than mapped drives, because UNC is consistent. Also, watch for links that point to a temporary folder or an older version of the file name, like report v7 final 2. When updates fail, it's often because Excel is faithfully looking in the wrong place. Fix the path once, and the link usually comes back to life. Next step. Sometimes the link is updating, but it's updating the wrong thing because the reference is fragile. For example, links that rely on a sheet name that changed, a renamed workbook, or a moved table can quietly point to the wrong range. Another common issue is linking to a cell that gets overwritten by a formula change in the source. To harden links, prefer structured references to Excel tables in the source workbook. Tables expand predictably and are less likely to shift when rows are inserted. Also use named ranges that are intentionally defined, instead of ad hoc cell addresses scattered across the model. The goal is stability. When your references are stable, link updates become boring, and that's exactly what you want in a workbook that others rely on. Next step. If your link is actually a connection or Power Query, the rules change. Connections have their own refresh settings, and Excel can be set to refresh on open, refresh in the background, or not refresh at all. If background refresh is enabled, it can look like nothing happened because the old values remain until the refresh completes. Another gotcha is credentials. If the data source requires sign-in and the credential is expired, the refresh fails quietly unless you check the connection status. Also, Power Query loads can be disabled, or the query can be set to only create a connection without loading to a sheet. So confirm that the query is refreshing successfully and that its output is actually being loaded where your formulas or pivot tables expect it. Next step. Pivot tables deserve their own check because they can show stale data even when the source updated. Pivot tables use a cache, and the cache may not refresh automatically. If your pivot table is based on an external range or a query result, you need to refresh the pivot table, and sometimes refresh the underlying connection first. Also confirm whether refresh data when opening the file is enabled for that pivot table. Another subtle issue is that pivot tables can keep old items, like deleted categories, which makes it feel like the data didn't update correctly. Clearing old items and refreshing again can fix that. The takeaway is simple. When a pivot table looks wrong, don't assume the link failed. Often the link updated, but the pivot table is still showing cache structure. Next step. Now for the nuclear options, used carefully. If a workbook has a long history, links can become messy. Multiple sources, old paths, and hidden names that still reference external files. In that case, you may need to clean up. Start by searching for external references in formulas, named ranges, and conditional formatting. Then, remove or correct the ones you don't need. If you truly want to stop linking, break links, but understand what that does. It converts formulas to values. That's irreversible, unless you have a backup. Another repair tactic is to copy the affected sheets into a new workbook, which can shed corrupted link metadata. The point is not to panic. Use cleanup when normal fixes fail, and always keep a safe copy first. Next step. Finally, prevent this from happening again with a simple linking strategy. Keep source data in one clearly named workbook and avoid final versions. Store files in a stable folder and don't move them after distributing the report. Use tables and named ranges so references don't drift. Decide how updates should happen. Update on open or manual update with a clear refresh step. If performance is an issue, keep calculation manual, but add a deliberate full recalculation before exporting results. And document the source path inside the workbook, like a small cell note or a dedicated data sources sheet, so anyone can verify it quickly. External links can be reliable, they just need a little structure. Next step. Let's wrap this into a quick troubleshooting order you can reuse. First, confirm the link type, formulas, query, or pivot table. Second, confirm the source file opens, is saved, and is the correct copy. Third, check edit links for the exact path and force one update. Fourth, verify calculation mode and run a full recalculation. Fifth, check trust settings and protected view. Sixth, fix path problems like mapped drives or moved folders. And if it's a query or pivot table, refresh the connection and then refresh the output object. If nothing works, do a controlled cleanup of hidden links and names, using a backup. If you want, I can also provide a printable checklist version of this flow. For now, tell me one thing in the comments. Do your external links fail more often because of file paths or because of calculation mode? A or B? And if you want more Excel troubleshooting walkthroughs like this, subscribe. I'm always testing new ways to work smarter. Subscribe to see what workflow I'm breaking down next.